I'll tell you, there's a lot of I've seen a lot more this round. Being shipped from camp to camp for 13 different camps over the 21 years. I mean, I've seen. Oh man, I remember we were out on the yard one time, and they came up and old Poppy out there, and they took him and jumped him and took his watch. Well, we all know Chicos love to play with knives. We already know that, and that was at Wacola, and I don't think it was 2 days later. We're walking in the chow hall, and he was right behind us, and we see him looking and looking, and he seen him, and he just walked around, and we're watching like, what's he doing? And he just went up behind the one dude that actually stole his watch, grabbed him by his head like this, and he had a razor. I think he had two of them in there, and the toothbrush, and hit him from here to here. It was horrible, bro. There was blood everywhere. I'm like, oh, chow hall's closed. Chow hall's closed. And then he chased the other guy out because the other guy seen him, and he chased him out. So we all went outside, and dude's laying on the ground kicking, and he's just steadily trying to get him. The popo man, they ain't 2 feet away, and they're sitting there talking. They ain't paying no attention. This dude's just hitting his feet and hitting his feet and hitting his hands. That was crazy. That was probably one of the times. That was probably one of the times that I seen the most blood. But obviously, it wasn't the first knife or stealing or stabbings or anything in there. I mean, we had a couple riots when I was at Hamilton. And that was crazy when we had to go in face down because they just went at it from pavilion to pavilion. They came out and sprayed all of us. We had to go face down. We had to put our hands behind our back, walk with our head down for about 3 days. Lay on our bunks. We went back in, laid on our bunks, had to put our hands behind our back, our feet up. And I think they said it was like 130 people's feet never hit that compound again. They went ahead and put them on the bus and shipped them out. I mean, it's definitely got its ups and downs, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, there was a lot more downs, because there's so much testosterone in there and so much energy in there, and everybody wants to be the big dog, or everybody wants to be the leader, or everybody wants to be something. So you have all this testosterone going, so everybody's showing out. Just before I left, I'll tell you this, Cross City. Just before I left, we were probably on lockdown every 3 days because they were stabbing. I've seen a couple people get their face cut all the way across here. We already know what that is. Someone's talking. I've seen a couple people, they hit one guy out back coming down the stairs. 2 people, one in the front, one in the back, and they were hitting him like this. I mean, he probably got hit about a good 30 times. I think he said he died before he even left the compound. Cross City they were off the chain over there. I mean, they were at their little wars and doing whatever they were doing. I kind of try to stay clear, I'm at the end of my bid now. I'm actually seeing the door. So I'm trying to stay back a little bit and just kind of observe and do what I do and stay out of the mix and keep up out of that.
Can you think of any like funny stories in prison or like goofy or weird ones? Like, of course, I know you got violent stories for days, but anything like good moments in prison that you remember, like memories that you look back and you laugh at, or some just goofy, crazy, weird stories?
Yeah. So we used to. I was at Bay, and I learned how to train dogs there, and we had a dog named Faith. Faith was one of the older dogs. She was a trainer dog, and they knew when they went outside. We took them out for bathroom breaks or whatever. Well, Faith finally got adopted. Faith comes down the hall. This dog never goes in the back in the building at all because Bay is all indoor. This dog comes down the hall, they said, and they took her to the front door to walk out, and she stopped and took the biggest dump right there at the door of the officer station before she walked out the door. I'm like, what? This dog never goes inside in the building. So like, man, even the dog knows. What's up with that? You know what I'm saying? You've seen some people on some buck that have done some really crazy, stupid things. Or I had a roommate that wanted to go psych, and that's where they want to get transferred, and so they can get away from that camp for whatever reason they got, right? This dude comes out in the morning, right after the chow hall, and strips right outside the chow hall and starts running around, reaching at his back, saying, "Get him off me! Get him off me!" He was acting crazy like someone was chasing him. Well, he come running around the other side, and I forgot what sergeant was there. Sergeant stuck his arm out like this and just straight clothesline him. Dude about to flip. I'm like, yeah. He said, yeah, you ain't going to psych on me, buddy. That ain't happening. So they walk him back to the cell, and that was about it for him. But that was crazy. That was really crazy.
So how did you do your time? Like, what was your schedule like in the chain gang? Like, how did you pass time? You know, like, what did your average day look like in prison?
So I worked a lot in there. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, when I can I give you the turning point here real quick? In 2010, you know, they say after about 5-6 years is when it really kicks in. In 2010, I was actually going to commit suicide. I had 15 years left. I didn't want to do it. And I actually called my dad, and I told him, I said, "This is probably the last call you're going to get." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I can't do this anymore. I've been doing this my whole life. I can't do it anymore." And I had a toothbrush already because we still had razors back then, and I had 3 blades in it. And I went up in my room in a 2-man cell and shut the door. And I was going to take the blades and just cut straight across here. I wasn't going to play with it. I was just going to be done with this. But that was my turning point. I started praying about it, and then, you know, I didn't get an audible voice, but I got the Bill Glass ministry came in the next day, and I had prayed about a certain thing and the name in question, and I promise you, I ran into that same name 3 times that same day. So I said, okay, I know who you are. I know who you are. So let me switch this whole thing up. So throughout the rest of my prison bid, I'm an artist. So I learned how to paint murals. I was going around painting murals. I'd get up in the morning, I'd go out and paint murals wherever they needed it painted. Or I've worked the kitchen for so long, I cooked in the kitchen forever. Or sometimes I'd grab a Flintstone and go out there because I'm bored and I want to go do something.
What's
I
a
kept my
Flintstone
days real
for the
productive.
viewers who don't know?
What's that?
What's a Flintstone for the people who don't know?
So Flintstone is, you know, the handheld pusher with the blades. They just spin like this. Ain't got no gas and nothing. You got grass this long, and you got to push this little blades through. And Flintstones, you got to keep going back and forth to get through it. But I would do anything I could possibly do to pass the time. They actually use those Flintstones for punishment too, for people who got DRs, disciplinary referrals, or whatever. So they would actually make them go out there in 100-degree weather and go out there and push them Flintstones all day. Or if you people back remember the day in Butler, they used to make them sweep the shadow off the sidewalk, which we already, or to sweep the sun off the sidewalk. So we already know what time it is with that. That's morning and night right there. But my days were really productive. I always kept myself busy. I really did. I got involved in some mentorship programs that they started in there at Washington. It turned out to be a real good program. We started the dog program there. I got involved in a lot of the faith-based programs. I ended up becoming a faith-based coordinator in several of them. But I just said, you know, if I'm going to do this time, I'm not going to let my environment predict what I do anymore. And I'm going to choose what I decide I want to do, and, you know, and try to at least be productive in here so I can help the younger ones coming in so they don't come in and do the same thing and end up with all that time. I hated seeing that. I really did. I really hated seeing them young kids come in with life and 20 years and 30 years. And I try to grab the ones that come in with a little time saying, "Listen, man, this ain't the life, bro. This ain't it." So I kept myself productive, you know.
It's real. So is it safe to say that whenever you, you know, surrendered your life to Jesus, that you found purpose in the middle of your bid, and just like kind of the whole course of your bid changed, huh?
It was. Back in 2010, that's where the whole course changed. That's where I finally said, you know, the old adage, let go and let God. And that's what I did. That don't mean I didn't struggle. That don't mean I didn't try to take control of it or try to do things my way, but I learned them steps along the way. And I was able to let him have control over it. And I know, looking back, that his hand was on me the whole time because I always found favor wherever I went. No matter what I did, I was always put in positions to do something to keep my mind occupied because he already seen the plan and I was coming home. I just didn't see it.
That's real. Before we begin to talk about your transition home, man, anything about prison that you want to share, man? Any other stories or just any closing thoughts, man, that are coming to your mind right now?
I mean, Prison is just not where it's at. You know, it's all fun and games when you're younger, and as you get older, you realize that this ain't fun no more. You know, hanging out in there with your homeboys or whatever and kicking it, and at the end of the night when you're laying there by yourself, because you ain't gonna lay there with nobody else. Well, you're not supposed to, but you're gonna lay there by yourself, and you got to think back, where's my life going? And it don't matter where you're at. And to see the things I've seen, the stabbings, the killings, the fights, the abuse, the robberies and all that, you know, thinking back on all that, it's mind-boggling to wonder how you get through it all sometimes. But it's because of the grace of God that you get through it. And that's the only way I was able to get through it. So
that's real. Now let's talk about getting out, man. So how did it feel, bro? Like on the countdown after what, 21 years, right?
21 years and 4 months. Yeah.
So how did the countdown feel? Like waiting to get out, and then like your first day out. Let's start with that.
So blessed enough that I had my aunts and my uncle out there, and yeah, the countdown was, I counted down in my diary. I got from year to year the last 2 years, and I counted months and then days, and then the last night, obviously I didn't sleep. I had Chris stay up with me all night. We were hanging out. It was the anticipation of it for like the last week. I was like, oh man, this is real. This is real. I'm finally going home. We're actually on lockdown, and I'm sitting on my bed smiling. I'm like, whatever, I'm leaving y'all here. I'm good. And but I walked out. My Aunt Timmy was out there, and I walked out, and she looks at me, and she says, give me a hug. I gave her a hug. She said, let's get out of here as fast as we can. I said, I'm on that. So we got in the car and took off, and she said, what do you want first? I said, can you stop at the store for a second? I've been hearing about these things. So she stopped, and I came out with 2 Monster energy drinks, the Java Bean. Man, I've been addicted to them since. I can't put them down. And then she's like, well, what do you want to eat? I said, well, I'm ready to eat. You already know that. And she said, what do you want? So we went to Cracker Barrel. I got the breakfast bowl, the big sausage breakfast bowl. And then I think we ate again before we made it back at Wendy's. And but I was more mesmerized by just looking around, not looking out of the bars or the bus, or not being shackled while I'm moving, or being able to move around, you know. And then she turns around and hands me an iPhone, and I'm like, okay, I've heard all about these things, but I don't even know how to use it. My last phone was a Nokia, you know, the mobile phones. I used to play Snake on it. So, but I got to call some people, man, and share my excitement with them. I met up with my late dad's wife and her boyfriend, and we went out to dinner at the Outback. I mean, I think I ate all day. And I paid for it later, but I ate all day, man. But it was the best feeling ever. It was the best, because I still say to this day, I never thought I was coming home. And man, the excitement of it was, it's indescribable. I thank God all the way home. I'm like, man, thank you for bringing me home. Thank you, because I never thought this day was gonna happen. Thank you.
So getting out, like, did you feel weird at all? You know, either the first day or that first week,
man.
or like, I know that coming home is an amazing, beautiful experience,
right?
But there's also like kind of like
anxiety,
negative, you know, experiences that are attached with it. So kind of lean into that.
Yeah. So I thought everybody was staring at me. I'm like, why are these people looking at me? My aunt said, nobody looking at you. I said, man, everybody's watching me. And she said, well, it's probably how you're walking. I said, what do you mean? She said, you're walking like you're walking the yard. Like, man, what you looking at, man? What you looking at? I said, really? She says, yeah. I said, but I just felt, I felt out of place. I wasn't bad in the crowds, but I wasn't trying to crowd myself in either. I'm watching around. I'm kind of looking around. She's like, what are you looking at? I'm like, I got to pay attention. You know, I'm looking down every aisle as we're walking into Walmart. I'm looking behind me, and I'm standing in the line, and I'm standing next to the grocery cart because I don't want no one behind me. I'm still, where we sit in a restaurant, I have to face the door. I'm still that way. I'm watching what's coming in and out of that restaurant. The anxiety is very real. I did feel weird. Not as bad as most people made it to be, because they thought I would kind of be out of it a lot after 21 years. But truth be told, I felt like I kind of smoothed it in, but then when about 2 months, that's when it hit me. Oh, wait a minute, this ain't right. Something now I'm not. Now I'm feeling real out of place. It's like it took a little bit of time to catch up to me. And yeah, I started feeling anxiety. I felt out of place. As I talked to you about that, it's just things where like, why are people judging me? People are overlooking at me, and they're looking. I mean, everybody's looking me up. I swore everybody was looking me up too. I swear they're all doing this because I heard all about that. So I was on the edge for a while. And I'm not going to say I'm all the way off of it, but praise God that I've been put in the right group of people and around the right people that's coming across, and that peace is now coming upon me.
So how long have you been out now? And like, what has your release been like since you've been out? Like, are you working? What's family look like to you? What do you do on your spare time? Like, how is life for you now?
Yeah, so now I got out May 24th. And I've been out now, almost 6 months. And man, time flies. Time flies. The family was there at first. A little bit of the family was there at first. I went and visited some people, and that kind of died out. I guess the excitement of it or whatever, which I was okay with that because I was more focused on. Now I'm a 49-year-old man who has to take responsibility. I was blessed enough with my aunts and uncles. They where I'm at now, they took care of me and set me up with a room. I started with a bike. We bought me a bicycle, and I was able to ride my bike. It took me about a month and a half to get a job. That job didn't work out. And then I ended up getting another job, and then that job, they decided to use some things against me. But over the months, it's been working out good. I got my girl now. She's been my best friend for 27 years. She's my rock, my support. She's just been walking through. She's reached out to her friends, her people, helped me get a job, and to help let me know that you're a good person. Don't worry about other people. Just let God have this, and you're going to be okay. Now I'm working as a server at Applebee's, and I love it. I like talking to people. I'm a people person, so I love talking to people. And I've actually sometimes been able to actually talk to some people about the Lord because they bring up that in conversation. I got to be careful with it, but they actually bring it up, so I'm on it. I'll sit down with them and start talking to them. So the transition has been, it's had its ups and downs. It's had its ups and downs, but the more I'm learning to lean in and let God have it, the more I'm learning that it's in His hands anyway. So there ain't no sense of me trying to do it.
And man, what about people? You've already mentioned it, but I just want to kind of lean into it a little bit. Like, how has it been, with your past, charges in your record, and like, how has that experience been? Like, coming home and feeling as if people do know and they're looking at you in like a very critical way.
Right.
Like you already mentioned, the fear of people finding out. How is that journey navigating through that then?
Well, so my first two jobs that actually came into play. I was working as a cook at a restaurant, and the girls decided to be nosy and look me up. And then they said they didn't feel comfortable with me around. They didn't know me. I didn't talk to them. I didn't bother them. But they decided to do that, so that ended up, coming into play there. Then I got a job at another place in a warehouse. I was very honest with them. I told them everything up front, and they still, a month later, decided to do an investigation into it and let me go because of my past. So I did get very down on myself at the time. Melissa actually, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I cried in her arms because I was just like, man, why do people keep judging me? They don't know me. I didn't do this. I just need the chance to prove who I am. And the fear is always real. Unfortunately, with these kind of charges, because I have to register every 4 months. I have to, everywhere I go, I'm on probation. I got to tell them when I'm leaving the county. So the fear is very real about people finding out. But I'm starting to ease off of it, a little bit because, like Melissa continuously tells me, listen, if people can't accept you for who you are, you don't need them in your life anyways. you know. And if I'm learning that if I can just let God take control, that He's going to put the right people in my life. I'm not really going to have to worry about that even coming up as a conversation.
I guess, man, closing thoughts, bro. Um, just if you would summarize. Well, first of all, what's in store for you? Like, what do you got planned for your future? What's going on?
So when I was in there, the Lord put upon my heart that I wanted to start my own clothing line. I've made some progress towards it. It kind of died out a little bit, but I'm looking to pick that back up. My whole meaning behind the clothing line, though, is hardcore ministries. I have it the hardcore right here in my life after 21, is to reach out to the youth and to be able to talk to them and explain to them that they're loved, that there's someone there for them, and that ain't the where to go. I want to try to prevent them going through everything I've had to go through. So I'm headed. My vision is what the Lord gave me is hardcore ministries, youth ministries, so I can reach out to these kids and stop and prevent them from going in there. It's not the place to be, and anytime I can help stop someone from going in there or someone's kid or give advice or talk to somebody, man, that's what I'm looking to do.
It's fire, bro. And then lastly, man, if you could just give an inspiring message and a word of encouragement to those who are incarcerated, still with a lot of time left, or those who are, about to come home, what would be your message for them?
So my message to that would be, man, keep your head up. That as long as you're breathing, there's another day to fight. But the fight's not yours alone, man. God will get you through everything, man. As hard as you might think it is, it's not hard to Him. We always tell God how big our problems are instead of telling our problems how big our God is. I once heard that my God's so big, every time He moves, He bumps into Himself. And that's something we need to remember. So I would encourage you guys, just keep your head up. Remember where you come from. And remember, when you go home, you're going home alone, bro. You ain't going home with nobody else in there. You ain't got nobody to impress in there. What you got to do is take care of yourself and walk with the Lord and let Him walk you through it and keep your head on the right track. My name is JD, and this is the Incarceration Podcast.
And listen, if you've done any time, I'm talking about a county jail, state penitentiary, federal, or even drug programs, whatever. If you want to share your story on this channel, go ahead and email me at eithekingbooking. Go ahead and put your stories in the comments below. If there's anything that I talked about slightly, you want me to go more in depth on, or anything I haven't talked about at all, and it's a good idea, drop it in the comments. Let me know. And also remember, I am a rapper. My artist name is E.I. the King. You can find my music on all platforms. I also have another channel, YouTube channel, my official artist channel, E.I. the King. And I also have another podcast. It's called Let Me Talk Bro, where I talk more so about my life, music, ministry, and all these things. Also, I have a Patreon with exclusive content. Everything is in the description below. So listen, man, till the next time, it's your boy, E.I. the King.